Hey, good day preparation here for us, and excited to get on the plane tomorrow and go play a really good football team. But it's been a good week of preparation, so I'll open it up.
Josh, a lot of coaches say teams make their biggest improvement between the first and second game. Is that something you believe in, or is that out of the coaches, what coaches are supposed to say? But
well, a little bit of both. You can make your biggest jump from week 1 to week 2. You should make huge jumps, just in communication, understanding of expectations. Your young players that are in your program for the first time, from the lead up to kickoff to what it feels like and looks like during the course of the game. As a staff, you continue to get in sync and work through some of those issues. It should be a week where you gain a bunch, but you can gain a bunch at any point during the season too. And our work habits and our preparation have been really solid this week, and we got to finish it the right way. We understand what we're getting into. It's a really good football team. They're tough, they're physical, they're smart, they're mature. We got to go, not do anything extraordinary, but do the ordinary things at a really high level.
Have you sensed most of the week with a bunch of veteran leaders that there's been a kind of an engagement, a locked-in mentality as you head into this big game?
Yeah, I think they understand the type of fight that it's going to take. During the course of the 60 minutes of play to win this football game. They understand this is a really good team. It's really mature. Is it something completely different as far as, the way they've approached last week? No. The more mature your football team is, they become really consistent in their preparation. It's been a really good week, from in the meeting rooms to on the practice field. Our 2s and 3s being dialed in during our walkthroughs and making sure that they're getting every mental rep as well. And, continue that preparation until kickoff, and then you got to tee it up and go play.
Coach, a lot of times coaches script those first 10 or 15 plays of the game. You guys obviously are really good at that. You score a lot on that first drive. What goes into those decisions, and how do you decide, what's going to be in those plays, those first 10 or 15?
Yeah, for us, ways that you feel like you can attack them based on what you're going to see. For us to be able to put our personnel in a position to be successful, that's, from the offensive line to the skill guys and certainly the quarterback as well. And our kids having an understanding in those first couple of drives. Here's some thoughts that we are planning on getting to based on what we anticipate seeing, and them having a great understanding of how to react to the different variables that they could potentially see during the course of those first couple of drives.
Josh, I heard a lot about how Pittsburgh really makes a priority to stop the run defensively. What specifically do they do? They had a long run of keeping teams under 200 yards rushing. What specifically do they do to make it difficult on offenses?
First of all, their personnel is, big, long, and athletic and physical. And I'm just talking front 7. I don't care what formation you're in. I mean, they're going to load the box on you. That can be pre-snap, but on the snap as well. Those conflict players are tight, and that's why you got to strain. There's a big difference early in a football game between a 5-yard run and a 2-yard run, and a lot of little things go into that. You got to win one-on-ones on the outside during the course of this football game too, and that dictates how the game unfolds, but certainly how you play in third down situations. This is a really good team in third and long, and we got to try to stay in more manageable third downs against them.
Coach, Brew and Cedric have to be two of the most physical, at least imposing receivers on the outside. Walker's a big guy. Just how do you feel? You just mentioned winning one-on-one matchups on the outside. How confident you feel in your guys' ability to do that this year with your personnel?
Yeah, we trust both of those guys. They are big, strong, and physical, and play that way as well. It will be different than it was last week for those guys, though. You're going to see a bunch of press man out on the outside, and you got to be able to get off of their jam technique, and then you got to be comfortable with the body, in your hip or on top of you the entire day, and be ready to go make those competitive plays. But we do trust both those guys.
Josh, it's unusual in a non-conference game to have played against a team basically 4 straight years as you have and Coach Narduzzi had. Is that an advantage, disadvantage, either way? Does it help preparation? How is it with, given the familiarity you two have, even though you're not in the same conference?
Yeah, there is familiarity on both sides of it for both programs. It gives you some understanding of the personnel, I think, as much as anything. Schematically, things are going to subtly change on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and that's played out in the previous 3 contests. And being able to adjust during the course of the ball game, based on the differences that you're seeing, will be ultra important in this one too.
Coach, a couple of your players earlier in the week talked about how last season's game, the way it went, left a bad taste. That was in the back of their minds as this week started. Are you good with your players using that as motivation, or having maybe sort of, I don't want to say revenge factor, but that being something that gets them going this week?
Yeah, sure. Whatever gets them in the building to watch more tape, I'm all for it. Last year's game has nothing to do with how this week plays out. The first play doesn't dictate what happens on the second play of the game either. So, but certainly, there's a sense of urgency and understanding what we're getting into, and I think that's led to a really good week up until this point of preparation.
Josh, you talked about avoiding 3rd and long on offense. I guess, what are the advantages and disadvantages of kind of slowing that offense and that tempo down, looking over the sideline, kind of making sure everything's all good on a situation like that?
Yeah, even when we play with our tempo, we're making sure that we're getting things in the right direction. If you don't, you have no opportunity to execute the way that you need to. And for us, handling our tempo offensively will be a big part of this one. We've played them, 3 previous times, and we're going to have to play in both situations where, the clock is stopped, P and 10, or after whatever it might be, a penalty or stoppage in play, and handle those situations really well. And we got to be able to execute within our tempo too.
Coach Halsley was talking about the trust that Hendon Hooker has earned with you guys in, if he doesn't like a play, that you guys will toss it out and make sure he does things he's comfortable with. Can you expand on that circle of guys that are contributing to your game plan and that trust factor amongst you guys?
Yeah, I think the longer you're with a quarterback and the more understanding of what you're trying to do and why you're trying to attack a defense that way, there's more trust from him too, and if there's something new that's going in the game plan, he can understand the reason why behind it, and probably feels more comfortable than he necessarily would when he's young inside of your offense. And so I think it's a two-way street. For us offensively, from Coach Golish to Glenn Ellerby to our entire offensive staff, Coach Halsley, I think we have a much better understanding than we did a year ago at this time. Who is our personnel? What can they execute? And how do we put them in a position to be successful?
Any other questions? Patrick? I just think a lot of games are decided along the line of scrimmage. This one seems like it will be too, with what they do on both sides of the ball. How do you as a staff need to relay that to your offensive and defensive lines this week, or do they kind of know the challenge they're up against?
They understand the challenge that we're up against on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Guys, appreciate it. Have a great afternoon. See you in Pittsburgh.